Welcome back, everybody. It's your host, Alex Wober, and we are back here with another episode of Smash Factor. It's been a minute since our last show. In fact, it was on January 2nd, just a day after New Year's, so a lot has happened in the Ultimate Long Drive world since then. We're here to catch you up on all the latest results, the upcoming events, and of course, the highly anticipated XLD Draft. We've got plenty to break down, so buckle up. Huge shout out to our amazing sponsors who help make everything we do at Ultimate Long Drive possible. We appreciate your support growing this sport and bringing this long drive community together. Now, let's get into it, starting with some events that have happened a few weeks ago, but bear with me, we're going to get through them here. Starting with the Central Texas event. This was their second event of the season for double points, starting with the U17 Boys Division. Brooks Harcilla with a drive of 273 yards. Jansen McBride took home the Open Men's Division with a drive of 342 yards, while James Barnett took home 5 divisions. We're just going to go ahead and list them now. The men's 35, the men's 40. He took home the Adaptive, the Valor, and the men's 35 Pro. His longest drive out of all of those were 327 yards. So congratulations, James Barnett. Joseph Cabuto in the men's 45 went 300 on the dot. And then going down to the Open Men's Pro, David Randall with a drive of 338 yards. Adriana McDonald in the Open Women's Pro with a drive of 276. And Adriana McDonald again in the Women's 40 Pro with a drive of 280 degrees. Coming back to the Coastal Carolina season opener, Patrick Young in the U17 Boys Division went 350 yards, while Keith Klebacher in the Open Men's Division went 416. A real tight race there between him and Robert Saucier. Robert Saucier, though, did get the last laugh, taking the 40 and the 45, with his longest drive being 423 yards. Ernie Guimon in the men's 50 had a drive of 375, while Stuart Poit in the men's 60 went 352. Jeff Gilder, the man behind the laptop back there, he went 274 yards in the men's 65, so round of applause for Mr. Gilder back there. Robert Saucier also took the Valor Division with a drive of 412 yards, while Jace Norman, and God, this is a baffling yardage here from Jace Norman, 431 yards in the Open Men's Pro Division. If you haven't checked out our social medias yet, that is the longest drive this season. See if you can climb that ladder, join up, and play in some events today and see if you can get to the top. Jace, so far, is holding on to that mantle. Moving on to the Mid-Atlantic event, their second event for double points. Tyler Garvey in the U13 Boys Division went 222 yards, while Kevin Porter in the men's 45 went 285.7 yards. Not sure if that was with one arm or not, and it was. That is confirmed. One arm, KP, 285 yards. Pretty impressive, I will say. Jennifer White in the women's 45 went 181 yards, while Ulysses White in the men's 50 went 334. Jennifer White also reappeared in the women's 50 with a drive of 170, as well as Ulysses White in the men's 55 with a drive of 331 yards. Mike Porter, Papa Porter, in the men's 70 went 246 yards, while Corey Garvey in the Open Men's Pro had a smashing drive of 388 yards. Terry Kirkland took home 2 divisions, the men's 50 Pro and the men's 55 Pro, with his longest drive being 317 yards. Moving along to the Minnesota-Iowa event, their third event of the season's at Mulligan's Indoor Golf. Seeley Hansen in the U11 boys went 128 yards, while Jordan Carroll in the U11 girls went 109. Jade Johnson in the Open Men's Division went 345.7 yards, while Rob Hansen in the men's 35 went 353 yards. Matthew Carroll in the men's 40 followed up with a drive of 352, while Jade Johnson in the men's 45 went 344. Capping it off at Minnesota-Iowa, Gardner Lahette in the men's 65 went 277 yards, while Jade Johnson reappeared in the senior Valor Division with a drive of 346. A new division this year in Ultimate Long Drive. Moving to the Western Carolina, second event of their season, Alex Rhodes with a drive of 365 yards in the Open Men's Division, while Hank Parks had a drive of 382 yards in the men's 40. Michael Beerley in the men's 45 went 391 yards, while Bruce Mower in the men's 70 went 230. Hank Parks also took home the Open Men's Pro with a big drive of 403 yards, but that was not the longest drive of the event. Ben Sutton in the men's 35 Pro climbed his way onto the longest drives of the season with a drive of 411 yards. Getting to the tour stop, which was in Orlando, Florida. We had an amazing time out there despite having a little bit of a tailwind. Chase Clement in the Open Men's Finals went 278 yards. Michelle Scanion in the Open Women's went 208 yards, while Big Jim Hutton in the men's 35 went 325 yards. Akira Kushima in the men's 45 went 283 yards, while Jennifer White in the women's 45 went 200 yards. Ulysses in the men's 50 went 298, while Michelle Scanion reappeared in the women's 50 for a drive of 209. Ulysses White also took another division in the men's 55 with a drive of 307, while Scott Laurent in the men's 60 went 295. Jeff Gilder, another division for Jeff Gilder, his second of the season, going 234 in the men's 65, while Bruce Mower in the men's 70 went 267. Paul Cleary in the Senior Valor went 330 yards with a big drive in Florida. Jace Norman in the Open Men's Pro Finals was amazing going up against Jack Habercorn. He went 345 yards to take it home. Jim Hutton then went to the men's 35 Pro, took that one as well with a drive of 314. Ernie Guimond in the men's 50 Pro Finals went 329 yards as well in a really intense battle with Terry Kirkland. Paul Cleary in the men's 55 Pro went 322, while Lee Chaney in the men's 70 Pro went 277, and Dave Zajac in the men's 75 Pro went 284. I'm going to give myself a shout out because I did have a black eye. You haven't seen me for a while. It's healed up now, but I did hit 292 with a black eye. So I like to give myself a pat on the back for that and kind of boast about myself for you guys. Going to the last event to cover here, the Central Texas event. This was their third event of the season. Jansen McBride in the Open Men's Division went 347 yards. And Mr. James Barnett, again, with an incredible showing out there in Central Texas. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divisions for Mr. Barnett in the men's 35, men's 40, the Adaptive Valor, Open Men's Pro, and men's 40 Pro. His longest drive of that event was 332 yards. Joseph Kabuto took 2 divisions as well, the men's 45 and the men's 50, with his longest drive being 315 yards. Whew, that was a lot to cover, everybody, but trust me, we're getting to the schedule now. We're going to cover the month of February and just tell you all what's going on in the world of ultimate long drive. Starting with this weekend, February 8th, we have 2 events going on in leagues. The Minnesota-Iowa event, this will be their 4th event of the season at Mulligan's Indoor Golf from 10 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. The second event is right here at the ULD Academy in Long, South Carolina for the Coastal Carolinas League. It's our second event of the season for double points. I got to get one in bounds this time. But that's going to be from 1 to 5 o'clock p.m. If you can come out, we'd love to have you out here in South Carolina. Moving to the 15th, the Mid-Atlantic event, number 3 for double points. The Winter Series Championship is going to be at the Dojo in Porterland from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. Another event on the 15th will be the Western Carolina event, their third of the season, at 4U Driving Range from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. Again, February 15th, a part of the Western Carolina League. You might be hitting under some lights, so that's a good chance to go out there and get some nice pictures and, of course, try to win that event. The 22nd has 3 events. Minnesota, Iowa will have their 5th event. So they've got 2 events this month, just FYI, at the Minnesota Golf Show Exhibition, which will be from 10 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. at the Minneapolis Convention Center. The Mid-Atlantic League will have their 4th event at the Winter Series at Main Swing Golf from 10 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. February 22nd. And the last event on the 22nd will be the SoCal event back out on the West Coast, which will be February 22nd, 11 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. at the beautiful Morongo Golf Club at Tequette Canyon. And the 23rd is the final event in February, part of the Western Pennsylvania League, which is their season opener for double points from 1 o'clock p.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. at Miller Mulligans. That is it for the month of February. Now, let's jump into the results from the other night for the XLD Draft. We've got the black team coming in first, which is looking to stay undefeated, going to be 3-0. They're 2-0 as far as I'm aware from former black team members. So their captain is going to be Critter, Jeff Crittenden. And the members of the black team are Jacob Molnar, Matt Bowen, Matthew Kindu, Ernie Guimond, Jim Hutton, and Trevor Langill. Over to the red team, the captain for that team is Mr. Kevin Porter, one-arm KP. He'll have Jace Norman, Corey Garvey, Alan Peak, Zach Hammer, Terry Kirkland, and Jack Habercorn. For more information on the XLD Team Series, head to ultimatelongdrive.com. We also have sponsors and discounts for members there. You can check that out on the membership page, and you can get all of this information from schedules to results, again, at ultimatelongdrive.com. That's ultimatelongdrive.com. I'm going to ingrain it in your brains. So head there if you want any more information on this stuff. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see the first event of the XLD Series. But again, that's a wrap on this episode of Smash Factor. We're back in full swing, and there is so much more to come as we roll through the 2025 season. Make sure you stay locked in for more updates, results, and everything happening in the world of Ultimate Long Drive. Big thanks again to our sponsors. We couldn't do this without you. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and stay connected so you don't miss a thing. Until next time, keep smashing it long. I'm your host, Alex Wober. We'll see you again.